Hello everyone, welcome back. Time for a new update, like I promised in the last video. With the summer, so much energy, well, summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So many things have changed, happened personally in the world, I guess for everyone. To title this period, I would have to say two things, although one includes the other. I would have to say it's about reaching the limits of my old former self, and the other is defrosting, which includes this part, defrosting and the result of that in different areas and different parts of myself and life and things like that. So there's been a lot of energy coming through since the beginning of June. I mean, when I spoke in the last update about this energy coming through, like it was on and off, it was just starting to just amp up, it's like to just become stronger, but it wasn't fully like in full flow. And there was a lot of, there were things still kind of blocked, and they'll be like solved in a few days or in like a week or something like that. So it was a time where, I mean, soon after that a lot of things, and for me was moving house, moving my life basically from one place to another. And it was a very intense period also because of that, because of how many details, how many things I had to take care of, and in a very short period of time, because of what we had to do, because of work, because of everything had to be aligned. So yeah, and in this period of time I didn't have any much, I mean, I couldn't spend energy on anything else, because basically it took all the focus, all the energy to just do that. But I didn't feel like I was at home until like 2 months after we moved. And it was funny, I was just realizing this. I was doing some, washing, doing some laundry, and I've done a lot of washing since we moved into the new place. And like I said, after approximately 2 months or something like that, I just was one weekend when I realized that I arrived in this new place. Like finally this place was my own, like my own imprint was on this place, and I felt like, oh, okay, it's mine. And at the same time, it came with the realization also that it happened more than just the fact that I felt like I arrived home, home in the new home here. It was the end of a greater cycle in my life, from the time when I left home after my studies a long time ago. And life took me in different directions and had to go through so many things. And I just realized that I returned to that point in energy where like the energy had been restored for me to that point, but I came back, like the loop like brought me back to that point, but different. So, and now I could actually connect with that thing, and all the energy that was lost and like consumed to do all these things until now was like, okay, now we're starting to replenish again the batteries, the things that I explained. I felt tired, I felt exhausted. There's been so many blockages that I had to overcome, not just in this short period, but in general in life. And it was very, not just satisfying, but it felt like a big weight has been lifted off all of my shoulders. It's like off my shoulders, and I could just relax and feel like, oh, now I can actually, I'm in a place that I dreamed for a very long time, that because not that I didn't have nice places before, but like the conditions, the environment, the things that I needed to do, the people that I was surrounded with and things like that demanded of me, well, a lot of energy and things that I always had to be not just vigilant, extra, very, very sharp, very, very focused. Well, I've always been like that, but yeah, so I realize now I'm in a place where it reminded me also of childhood, where I was in that space where I focus only on creating, on doing my creative things, and there was no disruption and no like, oh, this is going to bother me, or I have to worry about this or that. So it's like I arrived at a place, not just physical, but like internally and everything, where I could like now, like I said, the foundation, I'm talking about a different kind of foundation, but also internally has from inside out has translated into a physical foundation, as a place, as a feeling, as many things, that now I feel like, oh, now I can do the next level of work without having to deal with this or with that. And with this realization, I was confronted with another paradox, which I call it the paradox of obstacles. As in, like, when certain things have been removed from your path, where you feel like, oh, until now I had to do this and this and this in order to achieve this, or I have to go through here, there, and there's obstacle here, you cannot do that now, you need this time, wait, have to do this maybe later. So I had to adjust all these years my mind to all sorts of complications that are not mine, that they were never mine, in order to do what I needed to do. And once that many of those obstacles have been lifted, especially this summer, it left me with this pain. It was very strange, because my mind had adapted. It's the thing that I talk about in the last video about learning and unlearning, and forcing your mind to, making your mind basically to become flexible. So now I had to once again, adjust my mind and let go of the fact that I had to learn all these years to do things in a certain way. Well, I've done that in many ways, but like the specific segment, so to speak. And it's like, oh, so I don't have to do that anymore. Anyway, it left me with this pain, like deep pain. There was so much energy lost, not because I wanted to lose that energy, but because things have been distorted, blocked, whatever, because, like I said, lack of energy and things always being sabotage, distortion, etc., etc. And I had to develop a lot of patience and resilience, and like, okay, but also this took a toll on my body, on my mind. And it's like whenever I would like prepare myself to do one of these things that I had to do, is like, okay, I knew that this comes with certain steps, and it's like I had to prepare myself mentally, including filming these videos, which might seem really weird and feel like, what do you mean you're recording yourself and you talk? I wish that this would be the case. I wish that this would be so simple as it feels or looks like, but it's not. And you might not understand this right now. But maybe if a small number of you might get what I mean when I say it's complicated, because of, well, the codes, the things that I say, they're not just, these are transmissions. Anyways, so all of a sudden these obstacles have been lifted, and I was left with like, oh, so I don't have to do those things now. But because my mind expected that, okay, I have to calm myself down, I have to, get into whatever this mode where I have to have patience for this and for that to happen and for that to take place. And it's like, oh, so I don't, and I was still waiting for those things to just like, okay, hit me with those things. And it was painful now that I had to unlearn this way, which was painful to get there, to do those things, but because I had to do them, then I had to just like put basically this anti-toxicity suit on and train my mind to do certain things that normally would not do, because like, why would I do those things? So that was, I discovered, to be very, very painful. And the summer has been also the summer when I cried a lot, like a lot. A lot because the energy, when the energy hit, especially in June, after like, well, in the end of May already, but like certain events, mostly conversations with people close to me, and well, a few other situations that were outside of my control, brought in certain patterns in which I realized there were implants that were forced on me to just block my way. And I've been clearing those things for years, but like, because the energy hasn't been at the level that it is right now, there were still things that could be reactivated, repeated, although not at the same intensity. I wouldn't react the same way. There was still a possibility that they would resurface. So there was a lot of crying for me this summer, a lot of crying. Like I cried a lot of things, things that move me, joy, sadness, whatever. But this was more than just that. I hit those really deep levels of pain that has been built in all these years, that I had to be patient, resilient with a lot of things that were not mine, but I had to just, if I want to push certain things through, I had to learn to work with what was, and that wasn't easy for me at all. So it was a lot of crying, and that's all I can say. I cried a lot this summer, and it was great because after that I would feel, not that before I wouldn't cry, but that was just deep levels that until this moment I could not have access. I was like, I didn't have access in this way. I would use the cleaning process to do that, but this was so much, like finally the energy had reached that thing to like dislocate, dislodge this massive blocks that have the fear, the pain, this thing that have finally they have a space to be released, dissolved. So that was, I would say, that's the biggest thing that happened this summer for me. In regards to dreams, to premonitions, like you have this dreams that show you the future or what's going to happen, and why they're not always accurate, or you think that they may not be accurate, is because they have to bypass the distortion in the field. There's many things to being things that block the correct signal. So whatever you're going to get like a translation of that. But what's really was true behind that, well, there's things that might be one-to-one if there's, well, that thing it's easy to transmit, but there's other things that are just, they focus on a certain element, on a certain situation, on a certain feeling, and they'll point to that feeling, as in like emphasize, you feel like that's important to remember that kind of feeling or that situation. But in your experience, maybe this will look different or similar or completely different, but it will be the feeling that you're going to have is going to be that particular or a particular element. So, that was what that dream showed me that's going to happen. So that's why certain things feel like they're not accurate. Dreams are not always, premonition, things like that. Oh, I had this vision or whatever. Dream about the future was going to happen, but it didn't happen that way, or you feel like it didn't happen, but in the end you realize, because I didn't pay attention to what actually was showing me. And usually, like I said, it is focused on, it emphasizes a certain thing, and usually it's a feeling, an element, something, or an event. But that event could be in the same category or whatever, but it's usually a feeling. It's usually the feeling that actually anchors that information. So you have to look for those things when you're trying to decode this kind of stuff. Why am I telling you this? Is because recently part of me moving here has been because I was announced many months ago in one of those dreams, and it felt like I was going back to my student years, like going back to moving somewhere, like in a dorm with other people that were like students. But then again, it didn't look like it was a dorm, but at the same time, it felt like it was a dorm. And in a bigger city, well, I am now in a city and a little bit further north from where I was now, before, and I am surrounded by more young people. Well, I was surrounded there as well, but it really is that thing. So that that dream showed me the feeling of my reality, how my reality was going to change, and what is going to happen next. And for me, at that point when it showed up, it was the dead of winter, was this loss of energy in the grid, and everything seemed immovable. And yes, we were planning to do certain things, but things weren't clear anyway. And when this happened, which was already like April, May, things like that, the energy was still blocked. I mean, it was coming back online, on and off, but it was still whatever, and there were delays. And it felt like, why this dream was so important? Well, I had many other things that announced, and more accurate things that announced, although this was also accurate, but like I said, you have to pay attention to to a certain detail, a certain feeling. When the dream happened, like I said, everything was immovable, and where I was moving, it felt much bigger and more expansive. And it's like, yeah, I don't know how is that going to happen. I was like, how is it going to happen? To be possible for that right now. And moving from there and dislocating the life there over here was a very painful, very quick process though, but very, very painful, and took a lot of energy because, like I said, the energy was just coming back online. So much had been siphoned out. So everything that needed to be done, well, especially when there's still obstacle on the way and you have to solve this and that and whatever, I'm like, oh my God, and this too, and this and this and this. It felt draining. It's like, it felt so exhausting. So exhausting. But when we finally came here and we're starting to find okay, we're here, this is our reality right now. It felt like still coming from this, the split. There was another, like I said, as the energy hit already in June, it felt like the old reality was still trying to get back its own whatever quantum, but at the same time the high reality was like, no, stay here, come here. So it was very, very, very painful for a while. And when that happened, when that complete split between that reality, that level, to this now, it was just, it would completely feel like all of a sudden that fell into the darkness. Like I lost the memory of that part of reality. That was it's recent. It wasn't years ago, but I feel like it's like something has died. That's the best I can describe. It's like all of a sudden that thing, there's a curtain has fallen over. It's and it's somewhere behind the curtain or the wall. I know that I've been there, those things happen, but then again, I forgot a lot of details, and it's like a dream. So whatever I lived before this, once again, another split, it just fell into the darkness, that part. And it was just like, I know that happened, but I don't remember exactly how. And the feeling that I lost, it was complete disconnect from those things. So that was the work of the work that I've continued to do all these years and until now, and continue to do that. But also this huge amount of energy coming through, and releasing a lot of obstacles, releasing a lot of things that have been blocked, delayed, and all of a sudden it's like things have jumped, moved to a much higher level, and things look so different. Another thing that this huge infusion of energy that took place, and well, it's still continuing, a little bit less now, but it's still, I mean, I guess we're getting used to it much faster than before. But so with this huge energy that was coming through this summer, I could glimpse again finally, because a lot of the things that I would get about the future, not as dreams, but as on like direct experience, when I'm taken out, when I'm, like I said, I'm pushed out of this reality, and I'm shown things. This is the things that I say they bypass the distortion and everything. I'm just moved out of the story at higher levels, and I see things, and I come back, and then I have to apply, do the things that I need to, well, obviously, to navigate through these obstacles and things until I reach, well, my destination in energy. And a lot of things have been blocked. Well, like I said, it's a game, so it's part of this thing, part of the experience. Well, we were supposed to, I mean, we knew that coming here, that those things can happen and will happen. So being blocked for so long, and then all of a sudden you have this huge energy coming through, finally shedding some light over certain things ahead. They'll be like, oh, so the things that I was shown many years ago, I can see them again, but like now having this energy and like this clarity where I can see finally at least a decade ahead, certain this is going to be such a different reality in 10 years. It's not that long, I mean, in time to think, oh, 10 years, whatever, but it's going to happen a lot of change because of the energy, because of what the energy does to people, because of how people are forced to transform, whether they like that or not, whether they're conscious of that or not. And this energy brought with it this realization, I mean, it brought another extra layer of space, so to speak, for to see all the struggle, all this pain, all that what had happened in my life in general, all the interaction that I had, my family, with these people, with that, with whatever. It put everything into another, as I put everything in perspective, like it showed me another angle, and that everything makes sense, and everything that was hard to accept, you have to really let it go, because it doesn't, I mean, it was supposed to be that way, it was part of that particular level, that's what was supposed to play out. Everyone has played their role, and make peace with that, appreciate everyone, the good, the bad, because one day those things won't exist. And like I said in last week, everything has a beginning and an end. So even this phase that feels it's like never going to end, we're never going to see the light, the light at the end of the tunnel, but we will, and we are, some of us, and we have to, it's like it showed me like, okay, so this story is going to end, and you have to tell another story. And it really put everything into perspective once more, because until now my space was filled with this story. I had, of course, other layer of space that allow me to see other details that I guess they are not normal and natural to other people, but now was just another level. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it was another layer was added to me that allowed me to have this. It's not something that went away. It's just something that was added, and like, oh, okay, I reached another level in expansion, and I know that for me at this point it's a cycle that I'm going into expansion, even if all this has been hard to even get to this point, and very exhausting, and felt like there's nothing in the tank, there's nothing in the tank, just give me a break. But also I realized that I need very little to actually be like activated again. It's just I need something that, just a glimmer of, I don't know, of hope, of something that, I mean, to reignite me and to feel that constant for a while until I build that momentum. But yeah, so it showed me that this too will end, and there's another level that I have to prepare, because like I said, things end and you're going to have a completely different life and look very, very different. And just appreciate everyone, like I said, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whatever, the beautiful, and know that it was how it's supposed to be. And yes, it was a story, it will end and you have to move on. And but like I said, it left me with this feeling that think ahead, because now you have to focus further how you continue the stories. The thing that I was telling you in the previous video about dead ends, and how most people do not have this like foresight, this like farsight to see ahead. It's like, okay, I'm following this dream, this passion, whatever, and they consume themselves like their quantum, unable to make the jump into the next level. It's like, how can I continue from there? And for me, there's always been, it's like, if I were to look at when I look at my life, I can see that I was never allowed to do that. Even if I wanted to integrate into a place, I do this, like, no, you're going to do this for a while, but then I'm going to move you over there, whether you like it or not, and you're going to do that. And I would look, why? And I would learn about this, and then again, right, it's time to move there. And it's like, what? Yes, so for me, everything has been like this. So I was never really allowed to get trapped. Although this has been very, very painful, especially if you feel like, well, these people are allowed to do this, why am I not allowed to continue here? And why do you push me over there? And why do you make me learn this when I want to just do that? Just that, not this or that or whatever. And it's because of, like I said, I had to keep my aliveness. I had to keep my codes intact, and not to get too distorted that I lose sight of what I actually need to do, why I came for here. And hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy at all. But after this journey, the journey continues, but so far, whatever journey I had to go through, I reached this point where it's like, wow, even I can't believe that. It's like, if somebody asked me, it's like, so what would you be most proud in your life, what you've done, achieved? And I would say just keep myself alive, although that's relative, because, well, I died a few times by now, so technically I'm not even that. And I so I would say, yeah, keeping myself alive through all the challenges. I know this sounds dramatic. It is in a way, but I'm not going to let you see that right now. I mean, you might be interested, but that's the truth. But in the grand scheme of things, it was meant to be that way. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't tell you all these things. I wouldn't have access to what I have access. And with that comes another thing that I received this realization. Is like, I knew what it is, the sacrifice of the lamb. I knew that directly, my own experience, what that meant, the sacrifice of the lamb, when you basically use someone to break through certain patterns and gather the power to push through them and bring light, bring truth, that's beyond this little reality. So having so much energy right now in the summer has dissolved, tore down a lot of the walls, the things, the obstacles. A lot of things have disappeared. I think this is the most important that I can take from this summer. It's like a lot of things finally is like, I am here now in a place that I dreamed about more than 16 years ago, before I actually, well, I said it's that greater cycle when I was still studying. And I was shown this vision and I'm like, wow, so I'm finally here. It's here. But then again, now I can see even further ahead and I'm like, oh, like a constant, now I know what's the next segment. Like, okay. And I want to conclude with one more thing. In the Bible, you have this thing that says that, well, at the end of times, when people reach heaven, whatever, the animal kingdom, the animals will be whatever friends, the lamb and the lion will lie down together, whatever. They won't kill each other. Man, animal will be friends. There'll be peace. And I was shown the reality of that. So what does that mean? Because most people imagine this like utopia, but they don't understand what does actually mean. What it means is the following. As we grow in energy, those that will be able to reach this higher reality will have more layers of information about themselves. So the awareness changes and you will start to see how, not the things that we know right now about the trees, the animals that some scientists have told us, or whatever, researchers that observe the behaviors, and we know that we kind of know, we're not sure, but some of them are sure, whatever. No, we will know because we will have access. Well, I started to have access to certain things already, like hearing how your body works, how the cells exchange information, all these processes that are taking place. So imagine you start to have access to this type of information, the gravity, the cycles, why the seasons are happening, how they're happening. You have access to other systems, how they're formed, how they think. So it's another level where we're in harmony, where we have access. That level of energy has expanded so much that it encompasses a higher understanding, because I have this layer and that layer and that layer and that, and because of this, plus there's no more fear, because we rose above, like we are above that, because now we know, now we truly know. There is no space for weirdness, like aggression or things like that, because that would be stupid. So then life would have a different meaning. This is not necessarily about, hey, because I know a lot of people like, oh, I have to save this animal, whatever. Look, it's fine if you care about a lot of things, but also you're not supposed to, like, I don't know, be hung up on, oh, I have to, I don't know, save this or that, because there are things that are meant for certain levels in energy. Certain species belong to a certain, like I said, level or a certain reality. So there will be other type of things, forms, life forms that are going to appear, will happen at various levels of existence. So keep that in mind and not think, oh, we have to have this and we're losing all this, I don't know, whatever type of animal or this or that. Those things, those creations, yes, they play the part. We will understand more, we'll start to understand, like I said, as this level inside, this type of information is being accessed, and it's like, oh, why should I be afraid? Because I understand how this works. from inside. And there's no need for fear, and there will be real. It's like all of a sudden we speak whatever we speak, and then we can commune, we can understand, we and animals and trees and whatever, not just on some kind of intuitive or whatever people think esoteric. This will become a natural, normal reality. So this is what's going to unfold from now on. Yeah. Anyways, I hope this was interesting. See you next time. Ciao.